Hi, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome to our next session. Hopefully you got a chance to see our cool new Connect AI video. I think it looped maybe 4 times, so I'm pretty certain you've seen it at least once, if not twice. We're just going to wait just a second for everyone to join, but I think we're reaching a quorum here. Okay, looks like we're good to go. For those just joining the track, I'm Rebecca Bluin. I'm the Senior Director of Product Marketing for the embedded side of our business. And I'm moderating this sort of software product leader focused track at Foundations today. And before we get started, I just want to point out the Q&A button to the right of your screen. You may enter questions in at any time, and we will address them. I'll have Dan address them at the end of the session, and as long as we have time. So without further ado, I'm not even sharing slides yet. Hold on a second. All right. Our final speaker in this track is Dan Schaefer. He is the principal solutions engineer at Sisense, and Sisense has been a longtime CData embedded connectors customer, and I believe the relationship even predates Dan's time in this role. So going in the Wayback Machine. Dan will be discussing how Sisense delivers AI-ready insights in any app, even without a clean data stack, which is probably welcome news for many of you. Dan, to kick us off, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you'll be discussing today?
Sure. Thanks, Rebecca. Yeah, I've been a solutions engineer here at Sisense for going on 6 years now. I'm part of our pre-sales function. So really, I help people understand Sisense. At the core of it, I'm an educator. I teach people about Sisense. I'm an evangelist. I help people figure out when Sisense makes sense and when it doesn't, and really help turn their challenges into opportunities. And as far as Sisense goes, well, we'll cover a few things today. We'll talk a little bit about Sisense. We'll cover a specific use case on AI connectivity. We'll go through a couple details on a customer case study so you can get a real world feel for this. We'll look at the AI connectivity we have under the hood with Sisense. And then just in terms of challenges and lessons learned, we'll address that and hopefully share some learnings as we've worked on this over the past couple years.
Great. I guess to set the stage, Dan, why don't you describe Sisense, what you guys do, and where you focus?
Sure. So when people come to us, they're usually interested in some sort of analytics, and ultimately, when they choose Sisense, why do they do that? It's because of these few key pillars. So we let people, first off, at a whole, we're an analytics platform end to end. So everything from connecting to data to building visualizations and analytics and dashboards and reports and insights and alerts and all of that, as well as like self-service experiences, and then embedding that. So Sisense is typically not used as a standalone platform. It's typically put inside of your platform, or assets that you make with Sisense are put inside of your platform. But people choose it because we make the data connectivity with, of course, CData's help, right? So whether you've got a fragmented kind of legacy data stack and you need to kind of glue together multiple sources, or you've got a modern sort of warehouse, lakehouse kind of strategy, we work with both of those. We let people build visualizations really easily with AI, kind of got AI embedded throughout the platform. And then it all ends up looking and feeling like your platform. So again, whether that's an internally facing like software app, like you might use this in a call center so that agents and team leaders can monitor what's happening during the day, or you might put us in your software so that your customers can understand the data coming out of your platform. Both of those would be examples of embedding. Just real quick high-level architecture here. We sit in the middle of people's stacks, right? Because we're going inside of other people's software. So typically we're hooking up to their cloud with something like SSH or VPC peering. We deploy in our cloud. We can also run it on-prem, or like you can self-host Sisense. So we're extremely flexible in general, which is why we fit so many use cases. And we have to be as part of like an embedded strategy. Ultimately, you're building things in Sisense with our data model editor, our widget dashboard designer, our AI services, and then you're taking those things and you're deploying them in other software, right? Could be customer applications using, maybe you're just prototyping with a simple iframe, or you want a modern developer, like you want your developers to be brought into the analytics side of the house. So we serve up libraries for like React, Vue, and Angular, very developer-friendly offerings.
Great. You mentioned AI kind of layered across the platform. How does it show up in practice from data prep to visualization to chat-based creation? What does it look like?
Sure, great question. Yeah, it shows up kind of all over the place. And this is an example of like our AI studio. This would be an AI first experience. So we have AI that can help in any part, whether you're building a visualization and maybe you need some help kind of getting the right measures or dimensions and kind of building that out. But most recently, we've introduced sort of our studio experience, which is all AI first, in that really you jump into this without having to learn Sisense. You'll kind of learn it as you go via the AI. Anything you can do in Sisense, the AI can just about do for you. So whether it's, hey, creating a data model or connecting your data together, kind of building out that data model, exploring that data to understand what you have, even like, hey, what are some kind of sample KPIs? I've got a new data set. What sort of metrics could I get out of this? And then can you help me build that dashboard? Can you help me embed it? Can you, give me some of the embed snippets? So anything that you can do with Sisense, you can do with the AI. And so again, an AI first experience. I love this because you don't have to learn the platform, right? It makes my job as an educator very easy, right? To teach people about Sisense, I say, hey, literally go to this screen and start typing and interacting with it. Have a conversation with it. And then just another couple examples, right? So, hey, like I said, can you recommend some queries to add visualizations to this dashboard? Literally starting from nothing. Hey, I've got some supply chain demo. We just acquired a company. I'm trying to sort out their demo, their data, and try to figure out how I can build something from this, create richer analytics for our customers or for our stakeholders. AI can assist you with that. Here's an example, right? Hey, for this type of industry data, you might want to look at these kind of metrics or these KPIs, and we can help build you those. So again, AI kind of being that ride-along analyst, ultimately landing at rich visualizations like a warehouse supplier network kind of diagram like you have here, like a multi-Sankey chart, to ultimately like a fully embedded dashboard ready to go, little React snippet that you drop into your platform, all customized to look and feel. So that's some examples, Rebecca.
Great. Yes, can you walk us through, I know you've got this this interesting use case, a customer use case. So what did they build? What were the outcomes they saw, and what made it a success? Because it looks like there's some good numbers in here.
Sure. Yeah. So I thought a great one to highlight here would be our client Fundraise. And they're a fundraising platform. So, if you're in sort of the fundraising space, Fundraise is a great platform to help you be able to manage all of that. They were really struggling with analytics, and they came to us and asked about how we could help. We did some proof of concepts. We kind of built this out. And then ultimately, they chose Sisense, went to production, and they've been able to have a lot of success. So took their kind of delivery pipeline from several days to just moments. Like it's a very fast click-through stream to be able to create analytics. Again, kind of augmented by AI to help that production workflow. And then the results for their customers who use the fundraising model, who use the analytics module, right? So they go to market with this as an additional module as part of Fundraise. And the folks who use that module, the analytics module, saw a 7x increase in their annual fundraising, 1.5 increase on their recurring revenue growth, and a 12% increase in donor retention rate, right? Ideally, if you're fundraising, you've got good engagement with these donors, they're going to keep coming back supporting your mission. A couple other highlights from them, right? The outcomes. They give great demos now, right? They get to show not just, hey, here's how the platform works, here's how we help you track and collect and reach out to donors and do all the things, right? The kind of operational aspects. But then they get to show them the returns, the results, and here's what all that resulted in. Here's how, the numbers went up. You got better donor retention. Here's how you can exploit it. Here's how you can keep an eye on things and look for areas of improvement. So they get more engaging demos. It also, because of the efficiency of it, they're able to get freed up to innovate, right? Their team doesn't have to spend engineering hours on analytics. They get to spend it on core operational aspects and innovation pieces of the platform. The analytics delivery becomes very easy for them. And then, right, and if you've ever delivered analytics to, really, I would say to a customer, but to anyone, if you deliver them a great report, great dashboard, they're usually going to have questions, right? And they're going to have more requests. This looks great, but can you pivot it? Can you do this? Can you do that? Can we look at it by this? Well, they're able to serve those requests more easily in the future. And so it really speeds up that kind of engagement loop. And you can see that with their quote, right? Some nonprofits come to us with complex requests, very complex. Before it was a heavy lift. With Sisense, it's great because we're able to say, hey, no problem. This is what you're looking for. And they get this really fast turnaround time.
Great. Dan, earlier you said sort of step one is connectivity, right? So how do you handle the long tail of sources and keep up with the constant API changes? Because as we know, they're changing all the time, and you're managing a lot of them.
Yeah, so there's really two aspects to Sisense's data connectivity. A big part of it is CData, right? Like we have our live models, which let us direct query people's warehouses. And so we built some live connectors, on top of CData connectivity for that. But like you said, there's this long tail. And this goes to the sort of, I'd call it data readiness or maturity, kind of like, doesn't matter if your data is messy, we have a caching layer. And the difficult part is hooking up everything to the caching layer. But that's why we embed CData so that we have these 200 plus connectors. We go to market together with this sort of white labeled page. Any of our clients can go here, see the connectors. If they're in our cloud, they just ask our support team, hey, can you turn on the connector for Dynamics or Sage or HubSpot or CRMs, ERPs, accounting systems, marketing systems, lots of stacks, right? We do warehouses and kind of core. If you think about analytic sources, right? Redshift, BigQuery, Snowflake, we cover all those. And then CData helps us with the long tail. And we don't have to think about, oh, Oracle pushed an update. Like, how do we, do we have to support that? No, CData's already got us covered. So that's a huge help there. And so we have this page where you can see all of them. Clients can see them. Like I said, I'm in pre-sales. So usually one of the first conversations, right, if I get on with the head of engineering, head of data, they're going to say, hey, we've got data here, here, and here. We've got it in Hadoop. We got an old DB2 server that I can't get rid of. Can you make it useful on the data side? CData makes it easy to answer yes.
So Dan, one of the things that so many companies are struggling with right now is their existing architecture and how to support AI. So I'm curious, what did you guys have to do in your application architecture to enable some of these AI capabilities that you highlighted?
Sure. So yeah, it is tough. We were fortunate in that we had already kind of rebuilt the platform fairly recently, and recently maybe like 8-10 years ago. When we first started out, right, it was a Windows server, client server application. And then as we move forward, we rewrote it for Linux, sort of cloud native, all running on Kubernetes. API first. So before we ever build a screen for anything, we build the APIs for it. And because we're focused so much on embedding into other software, we're really used to having to be very interoperable, which is extremely important, for compatibility and integration, but it also made bringing in AI services very easy, right? For us, it's just like another microservice. We want to add some AI services. Great. Let's start baking that out. It's another pod. We don't have to overthink our compute strategy. We just stand it up. Kubernetes takes care of that for the scaling. And then we're also used to playing nice with other people's software. So we support like a bring your own model approach for like an LLM, especially because like security is really paramount. And, I think most firms are kind of taking a very cautious approach. I don't want my data fed back to the AI, right? I want to consume the AI. I don't want to feed it. So we allow you to look, if your enterprise has approved this version of OpenAI or Azure OpenAI, you bring your key to the table. We'll interop with that so that, again, you get control. So it's always a shared security model when you're embedding in someone else's software, and it's important. But I would say this microservices approach made it pretty easy to bring AI to the table and really keep a fast pace of innovation. And you can see that down there in the bottom right.
Dan, what surprised you as you built out your AI features? What pitfalls should your teams avoid? What did you run into and that they should look out for?
Sure, a couple things here. One, I think there's a couple challenges in that, especially going into someone else's software. This became very obvious to us a long time ago. But even if you're just serving up any sort of user base, right? your users and your personas come in kind of diverse styles and flavors, right? So especially on the analytics side, right, we've got people who are no code, right? They're really good with Excel, or they're subject matter experts, but they're not a coder. So how do you help them make sense of the data? How do you support the other folks on the side who are like full code developers, right? Live in their IDE every day. So trying to address those multiple personas has been key for us. And so we support multiple paths kind of through the platform, right? If you're a no code persona, there's a path for you. You can point and click and AI ask your way to anything. If you prefer code, again, like that's fine. We try to not bring in proprietary or invent proprietary things. So it's all SQL, R, Python. On the embedding side, even continuing down that path, it's going to be HTML, JavaScript, Angular, Vue, React. So it's keeping up with, the technologies that are becoming prevalent and appealing to most of them, and then those multiple stakeholders. I think another piece is just helping people move fast. Right? I'm in pre-sales, right? I support sales, and if you've ever talked to a salesperson, and you've sat in on a sales training meeting, right? You might hear a manager say, "Time kills all deals. You got to go fast. You got to help people," and that's true. But I would say it not just kills all deals; it kills all projects, because I've been on the delivery side too. And the slower you go, another initiative will come along and override whatever you're working on, right? So you got to be able to go fast. So what we do is we aim to help people get time to value, not vendor lock-in. And that goes for us when we deliver too, right? We'd rather deliver incremental progress, get a beta out there, get people engaged, rather than like suddenly, boom, dropping a whole feature set on people, seeing whether it works or not, right? We try to get that early feedback. So even though we're a full platform, we still deliver incremental value with this kind of agile path. And then, like you heard it before, flexibility and interoperability, right? We're sitting in other people's software, so that's key. And we see it as a benefit as like sort of an embedded vendor. But even like when I was in seat as a full developer, changing requirements, right? Working with different systems, you have to be flexible. You have to be open to change. You have to be kind of audible, ready to be able to go in different directions. And those are the things that let us, pivot quickly from knowledge graph based AI, 5 years ago, to LLM based AI kind of in the past 2-3 years.
I guess given those lessons, I think one of the things so many companies and so many people struggle with is sort of, where do we start? What do we do? What do we do first? So I'm curious how you advise teams. What should they do in the next 90 days to make progress? What should they focus on?
Well, first off, do something. Don't wait. Don't wait for perfect infrastructure. We see this with folks all the time, like coming into our software. They go, hey, we've got a data warehouse project going on, and we expect that to be done in 6 months, or at least usable in 6 months. It's got a long tail. We'll have like all of our data ported over to Snowflake in 18 or 24 months. But they're already late to market with trying to, evolve their analytics. So that's fine. Don't wait for the perfect infrastructure, right? And it's easy with Sisense. We have a caching layer, like again, powered by CData and the connectivity there to kind of speed that up, so you don't have to wait, right? We can serve as that kind of mini impromptu in-platform warehouse. But I think that applies to any sort of project, right? Don't set up huge requirements that make you wait, right? Start to deliver incremental value. And I feel like I just said it before, but focus on flexible solutions, right? Build out your architecture in a way so that it's easy to change in the future, right? Loosely coupled, so again, we do this in our platform. So if this happens, right? Especially for people dealing with public cloud vendors, they like to go every 3 to 5 years and, negotiate with Amazon or Microsoft and Google and move their whole stack from one to the other, right? Different leader comes in, they might be good friends with a different cloud vendor, had good experience and change the whole stack. Well, we can't be too beholden to any one of those, right? We have to be able to be flexible so that they can quickly migrate their assets over. And so they do that just at the data model level. And that's been a key area of value for us, is being a flexible solution. And I would encourage you, whatever your project is on, to again, build in that flexibility. Don't tightly couple your components so that if one thing changes, everything else breaks. And lastly, right, to keep up this pace of innovation, embrace some of these AI first workflows. I'm not a React developer, but I've gotten our hands on with our SDKs and with Cursor. And suddenly, with a little bit of AI help, I can start to use our SDKs in these really creative ways. If I think of something, I can let the AI kind of help me prototype it very easily. Now, that might not be production grade code. I might ask a coworker to help me, get that. but those first iterations, right? Even myself as a developer, former developer, as an engineer with 15 years experience, there's still areas I don't know everything. I don't try to know everything. I let the AI help me when and where it can.
Awesome. So Dan, last question, I guess, is looking ahead, how do you see embedded analytics and agents evolving over the next couple of years? And I guess from a builder's perspective and from an end user's perspective.
Sure. From a builder perspective, anyone can build and ship, right? No code, low code, pro code. Again, with AI assistants, that like if you're a subject matter expert in a healthcare system, you probably aren't a Tableau expert or a Power BI expert, but with a proper AI kind of empowered platform, you can create all the analytics you want, explore the data, get these deep insights. So I feel like it's been flattened, and it's allowing new people to come to the table and get involved in analytics and this sort of deep insights. And AI and agentic, it's just going to be everywhere, and it's going to be accelerating everything, even in terms of just an analytics stack, right? These are the areas where we've deployed it. Connecting to data, easier with AI. Modeling and kind of diagramming that data, easier with AI. Visualizing it, much easier, much faster, because I don't have to learn a whole widget designer and GUI. I just ask it what I want, it pops it out. Embedding, I don't have to write the code anymore to stick it in someone else's platform. And even for those end users, I can deliver and embed an AI experience so that they can have the same kind of, fast iterations and AI help that I have as a developer. And ultimately, that's helping, kind of this analytics evolve into this kind of contextualized, app-aware kind of experience, right? It almost starts to mirror the consumer world, where I think you're used to having your watch tell you, hey, look, it's time to get up and get moving. You've been sitting for 2 hours. Or, hey, here's what you should watch next because, this is what you bought or consumed. Those are all analytics, and they're just kind of woven into the natural flow of things. So I think you'll see AI and analytics start to work their way into these UXs in the business world in the same way.
Awesome. Well, that is it. I think we have time for a question. And if we don't have any from the audience, I have more for you, Dan. So I guess you talked a little bit about this, but I'm curious, where are customers seeing the most immediate wins from AI inside Sisense? Is it time savings or insights or something else I'm not even thinking about?
It's definitely time savings because they can use the platform without having to learn it, right? You don't have to go through training course. You can just start hammering away. And then I think the second piece is in being able to deliver AI. So their customers are asking for AI. Like if I go to the boardroom and I'm in a meeting and I have my presentation prepared and I answer 90% of the questions, but then they start asking me things on the fly, AI is a great way to be able to quickly answer those and be able to deliver those last remaining insights right rapidly.
Gotcha. And what's been the biggest driver of customer adoption when you embed analytics in their workflows?
The biggest driver there is differentiation, right? For them, they end up with a very compelling analytics experience versus maybe their competitors. So, we work with people who want to stay ahead in analytics. They don't see it as like just a checkbox. It certainly is, right? If you serve up a platform, you have to have some sort of reporting analytics usage at a minimum in there. But for the folks who truly are helping people deliver powerful insights on that software that ultimately change their operations and change their business, that's, like the fundraise example earlier, right? People who use the analytics module in fundraise have a ton more success in donor retention and fundraising goals and all of that, powered by analytics.
Awesome. Well, Dan, I can't thank you enough for spending this time with us and for your insights, incredibly valuable, and again, for your partnership of many, many years with CData. So thank you. Appreciate it. And
Thanks for having me.
off to the next session. Thank you.